difference between legitimacy theory and stakeholder theory. Legitimacy theory and stakeholder theory are two theories in the field of business ethics, which are used to understand how organizations should behave in order to be accepted by society. The two theories have similarities and differences, which will be discussed in this article. 12 differences between legitimacy theory and stakeholder theory. Difference 1. Definition. Legitimacy theory is a concept that states that organizations must align their goals with society's expectations in order to be accepted as legitimate. Stakeholder theory is a theory which states that organizations, in order to be successful, must take into account all stakeholders and their interests. Difference 2. Goals. The goal of legitimacy theory is to align an organization's goals with society's expectations in order to be accepted as legitimate. The goal of stakeholder theory is to ensure the organization's success by taking into account the interests of all stakeholders. Difference 3. Perspectives. Legitimacy theory takes a society's perspective. This means that it focuses on the expectations of society and how an organization can fulfill these expectations. Stakeholder theory takes a multi-stakeholder perspective, which means that it focuses on the interests of all stakeholders and how they can be taken into account by the organization. Difference 4. Relationship. Legitimacy theory emphasizes the relationship between an organization and society. It focuses on how the organization can be accepted as legitimate by society. Stakeholder theory emphasizes the relationship between the organization and its stakeholders. It focuses on how the organization can take into account the interests of all stakeholders. Difference 5. Values. Legitimacy theory is focused on values that are accepted by society. Stakeholder theory is focused on values that are accepted by all stakeholders. Difference 6. Focus. Legitimacy theory has a focus on the external environment, which means that it focuses on how the organization is perceived by society. Stakeholder theory has a focus on the internal environment, which means that it focuses on how the organization takes into account the interests of all stakeholders. Difference 7. Impact. The impact of legitimacy theory is that it helps an organization to be accepted as legitimate by society. The impact of stakeholder theory is that it helps an organization to be successful by taking into account the interests of all stakeholders. Difference 8. Responsibility. Legitimacy theory emphasizes the responsibility of the organization to fulfill society's expectations. Stakeholder theory emphasizes the responsibility of the organization to take into account the interests of all stakeholders. Difference 9. Motivation. The motivation behind legitimacy theory is to be accepted as legitimate by society. The motivation behind stakeholder theory is to be successful by taking into account the interests of all stakeholders. Difference 10. Rewards. The rewards of legitimacy theory are acceptance and legitimacy by society. The rewards of stakeholder theory are success and the satisfaction of all stakeholders. Difference 11. Dynamics. Legitimacy theory focuses on the dynamic between the organization and society. Stakeholder theory focuses on the dynamics between the organization and its stakeholders. Difference 12. Influence. Legitimacy theory influences the way an organization behaves in order to be accepted by society. Stakeholder theory influences the way an organization behaves in order to take into account the interests of all stakeholders. Conclusion. Legitimacy theory and stakeholder theory are two theories in the field of business ethics, which are used to understand how organizations should behave in order to be accepted by society.
Hope you liked our video. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to keep us motivated.